There are a couple of more questions which I will point it to Neeraja. And Neeraja, I'm sure we all know when somebody has multiple skills, we call him a jack of all and master of none. But the world is changing. I coined this way: jack of all, the master of that jack itself. Okay, so Neeraja, can you give a perspective? And the questions that have come up is, I'm a BA for 13 years and I do not know what is that I need to do next. That is one thing. Then there is another question that says, in a similar way, very clearly to say, should I focus on managerial and leadership skills or should I continue with technical? So you may want to cover that part as well. And
interesting questions and interesting perspectives from Purnima, Gopal and Sanjukta. So let me first go on the mindset part, Rajesh. I think that's what you asked me, right? And I just have a slide so that we can anchor, our thoughts around it. So Hannah will just bring it up. So a few years ago, when my daughter was, I think, in the 7th or the 8th standard, I had got her and 3 of her friends home for lunch. And like a typical mother, typical auntie, asked the question to the girls, what do you want to do after school? And there was a pair of twins in that group. And they said, IIT, IIM. And the third girl, she said, yeah, I've heard of IIT, but what is IIM? And the fourth girl, which is my daughter, said, what is it? I've never heard of it either. Okay. I had a French boss who used to continuously tell me that he's worried about his boys because one wants to become a politician and the other a fisherman, and he's not happy with both. So the point is that this is where the mindset is stemming from. Forever, from the time the child is born, we ask, what is it that you want to do in life? What do you want to become? It has to be equaled in terms of the answer to an engineer, doctor, teacher, fisherman, politician, IIT, IIM. We never ask them questions in terms of what is it that you would like to create in this life? What is it that we would want to lead in this life? Let alone, the larger question, which I think even I can't answer, what is the legacy that you wish to leave behind, right? And that's where the mindset, which in some people say the growth mindset, diminishes or even doesn't, start. When I moved from my 25 years of IT corporate career to head the Jobs for Her Foundation, the story is that Neha Bagaria, the founder of Jobs for Her, approached me and said, will you come and head the not-for-profit foundation? And I said, why me? I have absolutely no knowledge of how an NGO runs. And what is it that you've seen in me? And she said, I've seen passion in you, passion for the cause, which was to help women in terms of their pursuit of careers, to ensure that they are able to harness their potential and grow. And that's the first mindset that I would like to emphasize upon, and I'm glad Gopal spoke about it as purpose, passion, whatever that be. Ensure that that's absolutely there in your heads. And for most of us, it may not necessarily be there because of the way we've been brought up, because of the peer pressure, because of the rat race, because of other compulsions, the insecurities, and hence we are doing what the rest of the world is doing, or we believe that there is a mirage and we can reach there. But please do reflect on what you're passionate about, because if you are passionate, everything else will revolve around it and you will achieve any kind of goal. The second thing that I wish to talk about is we spoke about it as soft skills. I call it competencies, or you could call it as strengths that you bring to the table. And this was a revelation to me after 24 years of my career, when I heard someone at a conference saying that, and especially this was addressed to the women on a career break, that while it's okay to look at your past, if you're an IT professional, which is how I also looked at it, okay, if at all I want to do something very different, it doesn't mean the IT world. But focus on what strengths you bring to the table. And in my job as the head of Jobs for Foundation, if you kind of see what I did in the 1.5 years, which was quite successful, the fact is that I ensured, and maybe it just happened because Neha saw the passion, but I also believe I excelled in that job because of the fact that the strengths that I brought in were absolutely important for that role. The strengths of stakeholder management, which I'm extremely good at, is what was required to build partnerships with the NGO. The strengths of managing a team was absolutely important to build the community which we wanted to service. The strengths of communication was absolutely important, not only for oral communication, but also for written. Because in the not-for-profit foundation that I was in, there was absolutely nobody else to help me. I was the only person, and I always joke about it, that except for making chai, I did everything there, which meant that, including the content writing, the social media marketing, everything was done by me. And that's where I learned it, and that's where you see me all over the place in social media today. So the unlearning and relearning part is absolutely, absolutely important. I had to unlearn a lot of things that come from, working in monolithic organizations to kind of working in not even an NGO space, a startup world. Jobs for happens to be a startup. So how do you you have to just throw away everything around the process bit, where is the project plan and where are the timelines and the milestones? Nothing. Every day is different and you have to just understand the realities of the day and deliver. So a lot of unlearning and a lot of relearning, which also had to be done with a team which was, as I should say, a young team. I don't want to call them kids. They might have been, the same age as my daughter. And so, Hanu, if you can bring in the third point, I had absolutely no ego to sit and learn from these, youngsters. So there was someone who was trying to teach me about how do you do a social media post and the link and the call to action and then God knows what all. And she said, I don't think you can do it. And she walked away. And, it didn't matter to me that I finished up from Capgemini as a director, whatever that meant. Here I was sitting, learning something which was probably a very, very small skill, but I didn't have it. And I had to sit down and learn from this young girl. So absolutely no egos. And that's also another mindset that definitely people need to have when they are looking at shifting from whatever they are into to wherever they want to, because of the purpose and passion that they want to drive towards. And the last is what I would say, the impact that you wish to create. And I'm going to just bring up that word also. So 2 days ago, I got a WhatsApp message from someone, and I won't name the company, but this person from the company said that someone from your team has scheduled a meeting with one of the business unit heads of our company. Would you like to be in that meeting? And I said, which team? Because today I have no team. In the college that I work, I'm an individual contributor, beyond which I'm a freelance consultant. So there is no team and no team member. So which team? And she said, the person from Jobs for Her. And I said, I left that company last year. It's been more than a year since I left. But that impact that that organization created and I created because of that organization, people have not been able to forget. I worked 25 years in the IT world. I'm not saying that I didn't create impact or didn't wish to create impact, but I don't think many people other than Anu and Rajesh and Aradhana who worked with me probably remember my 25 years of IT career. But what I did as heading the Jobs for a Foundation, even after a year, people think I'm still there. Even when I go to present, at forums and I send my CV in, which boldly says is my title and organization I work for, people will, put it as, head of Jobs for Her Foundation and they'll talk to me about Jobs for Her. So I think if we have, and there could be many other mindsets, but some of these, in terms of the mindsets, it is much more easier to kind of decide where you want to go and hence look at what is the horizontal that you want to, kind of broaden in the T shape is what I would like to.
Thank you. Thank you, Neeraja. One of the questions that has come up, it's still, I think it will require some kind of a perspective,
Right.
is should I look for leadership roles, managerial roles, or should I remain technical? I would like to take a small cue cut on that question because I want to slice it a bit. Leadership role doesn't exist. Every role should demonstrate leadership. So I'll keep it as a managerial role or an administrative role versus a technical role, or probably the question was primarily to say that if you are going to be a top level strategic manager who drives decisions rather than doing some technical work at the bottom. So where should I focus into? So that's the question that has come in. So is it something got to do with, if I aspire to be a leader, and I want to grow in the organization hierarchy higher, does it stop me from gaining this horizontal scaling of skills? That's the question.
Yeah. Absolutely not. I think it doesn't matter whether you want to kind of be deep technical, you want to be kind of, at the helm of a leadership organization, a CEO and a startup in an educational institution like I am. I have to continuously learn. So I don't think, it's industry specific, it is role specific. Horizontal scaling, which is required everywhere. what I would only say is the myth, and it's a myth now, that if you want to grow into leadership positions, you can keep your hands away from doing the dirty work is no longer there. I think you have to ensure that you can do everything that your subordinates can do, and course, not everything in terms of really, writing a piece of code. That's what we are talking about in the technology world. But you need to kind of, know something about it, be able to make sense of it, because you are driving certain decisions and you're delivering to certain stakeholders. So you have to keep at it. You have to understand the technology or the domain, the industry, the changes. If, example, you are in a manufacturing world today, you have to understand what an IoT means. Because Internet of Things is changing the landscape in a manufacturing setup. You may not necessarily sit and code and ensure your equipment is kind of working for the Internet of Things technology, but you need to understand that. So it works both ways. It doesn't matter whether you want to code deep technology, and I don't think I can answer it for you to say, should I remain technical or should I grow into a leadership position, a managerial position? The right to say that everybody is a leader in their own accord. You need to kind of think through where you see yourselves in the next 3 to 5 years, what is your purpose and passion, and accordingly decide to make the switch from a technical role to a pure managerial role, but ensure that you are covered both ways. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Neeraja. And I think we are coming to a conclusion to a certain way that horizontal scaling of skills is the reality. Let's embrace it. Prepare your mind, switch your gears on the mind to face it, and start taking it with passion. Drive in the direction of passion so that you will know exactly it's not the money, it's about the passion that will give you the benefit and